Hey, what's up, everybody?
What is up?
Happy KOTG Tuesday.
Heyo.
You guys, we're back, right? We're back. We got no guests tonight.
Oh man.
So it
This
is
is
just
the
us
KOTG crew.
talking
Just us.
lawns.
Lawn season has begun, so it is time. 100%.
I'm so excited. So excited.
I have to say I've enjoyed having guests on, but it's kind of nice to just get back to us and chit chatting. So I'm looking forward to tonight. See what you guys got to say.
Right. Who we got on LTZ number one? Alex Carney. What's up, brother? Mr. Sauce. I had my socks laid out for a Down syndrome day on Monday, and I forgot to put them on. I had them all planned out Sunday night. I was like, I'm going to do it. So I apologize, brother. Missed it. Next year.
Well, that's it comes from the longest yard. He kind of started that, did the giveaway or doing the giveaway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. That was pretty awesome of him. Like Nate said, that's something that's pretty cool to give back with the lawn community, something you can get behind and stuff. So guys, we are episode 60. 60. We've done this 60 times, man. It is crazy.
That's awesome. You guys are great. I think I've been here like 10.
And good ones.
Better get your butt on the ball.
I know. I know.
It's the same time, the same damn channel.
For over
we designed this specifically so the kids would all be in bed for the overwhelming majority of us. So hopefully, I get my kids to bed as soon as I get home from work. I'm like, it's bedtime. No, maybe not that early.
I don't want to see you. Get out of here.
Well, let's get this show started, guys. Welcome, everybody. Keep Off the Grass Livecast. Taco Tuesdays. This is episode 60. We're talking soil tests. So let's all grab a glass. And now that the season has started, keep off the grass. Not us, of course, just everyone else.
The kids.
Real quick, actually, never mind. I'm not ready for that, but never mind.
Well, it looks like most everybody's drinking water. If you ask me, I don't. Bill, what do you got?
I got a tequila.
Okay.
I got my standby Diet Coke or Coke Zero,
Tito's.
but this time I got the DC in the house.
All right.
Get your Tito's,
Cody, what are you drinking?
I got the old Tito's and Diet Mountain Dew in this fancy old cup here. Look at that.
Awesome.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So I do see the president in the live chat.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. So everybody, let's give him a big shout out. Right now.
Yeah. Playing those drums, man.
Look at that.
That is a sexy beast right there. I tell you what.
Look at that bush light perfectly displayed in the back, huh?
Is
I'll tell you
that
what,
shirt? Is that shirt available on the Keep Off the Grass website?
You guys think that's funny, but he actually wears that around the neighborhood and stuff. And
Oh, jeez.
that's his pool shirt. He goes to the pool in that.
I thought it was hilarious.
On fire shirt.
He's got a
Watching
tan line of that
An
shirt.
old.
Watching the first one that Yardhard did. Yardhard did the first one. That was I was laughing just watching Yardhard, and then when Drunk Lawn Guy came in, I was losing it. Thought it was hilarious. and then you got Turf Tamer and Dad Bod Lawn. They jumped in. That's the last I saw was like the 4 or 5 of them, and then I didn't know if it was going to continue or not. But
I think those are so cool.
Yeah, boys, you guys did a good job. I was laughing hysterically last night. So well done, well played.
Yeah, shout out to those 4 for the funny little song thing.
I just saw Yardhard and Drunk Long Guy. I didn't see the other one.
Yeah.
There's a couple more duets with it.
They're doing guitars and stuff. Pretty awesome.
So, hey, I don't remember. We've talked about it a little bit. Is everybody doing a soil test this year? Have you guys all sent your turds out yet? Or what are you guys all doing this year?
What are you doing, Oli?
I have not done a soil test this year. I probably should, but I have not. I've already got some fertilizer down, so that needs to dissipate.
Yeah.
And that might be a good thing to start off with, like how long to wait after you apply before you pull samples. Because I use a good bit of organic stuff, and I've already learned if you apply the organic and then pull a sample, it will really mess with your phosphorus levels. It'll really mess with your organic matter levels. So if you pull those preels that hadn't broke down yet, you'll have a false test.
Okay.
Point.
But not this year. I guess I'll do it later on.
Well, you've been
Wait a
growing
minute.
for a minute, man. You've been mowing for a while. Are you still kind of on the tail end of last year's plan? Like, did you kind of already have, like, what you're doing now? Was this something you already had kind of lined up a few months back, or are you just throwing down what you got? Like, how did you decide to do what you're doing now? And I guess when?
I mean, most of the stuff I do is just roll with it. I mean, I don't have a plan. I have a lot of people say, "Hey, man, I'd love to run your." I just roll with it, and I do need to maybe sit down and make more of a plan. But the only thing that I've done a little different this year is I wanted to come out the gate rolling. I wanted to have stripes early, color early, and then I was hitting it with the molasses, and I seen a difference. I do like what it does. I think it warms the soil up a little quicker, to wake things up, get microbes causing friction and things going. And I done that and was pretty impressed with it. And then we had a plummet in temperature. I mean, a plummet from like 70 to 18 or 19 degrees. And man, it put a wound on some healthy growing, full of sap plants. It put a whooping on it. So,
But Oli,
luckily it's still growing. Go ahead.
Do you guys ever freeze though? Do you get a frost line? Like an actual, like, I'm thinking like your pool in the backyard. You say you don't drain it. I mean, that'd be
it's been cold enough that it'd have an inch of ice on it certain years.
But
there's been years that, when it normally don't here, but we've had some temperatures years ago that were like 7 for several days, and it killed a bunch of my banana trees, and it killed some palm trees I had and stuff like that. But it's not common. And just like I don't ever winterize my irrigation system, and I made the mistake of not covering up one of the boxes, put the lid back on the box where the valves and stuff is. And it dropped down to like 13 one night, and it popped the line. And I didn't know it for several days. It run several days. It sat there and ran, and it was out in the field, and it ran 116,000 gallons in a several days.
Oh man.
Yeah. $260 wasted. Yeah. But normally we're not that cold.
But I see a lot of the guys in the chat already talking about they're pulling, frozen plugs and stuff like that. I was just curious because theoretically you could pull your plugs probably in December, January, whenever you wanted to. Whereas, let's just say, there's gonna be a certain line probably and north of the transition zone where you have to wait till it thaws out because you're not going to get your probe into the ground at all.
Yeah.
And then
not really the case here.
And then you got the other side of it where, springtime, you're going to get a ton of rain. So then you have the mud factor of, basically sticking the probe in there and twisting, and you're pulling just sloppy, muddy cores out.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a fine line of when you can pull it and when you can't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely, man. I know what you mean.
Not you get a test and it's got a little pink line on it.
You took a soil test at the end of the fall, right, Oli? So you kind of know where you're at.
Yeah. And I took one early last year. I took one last year in like the 1st of January, and and learn a lesson there too. Cause like you apply your starter in the fall with your grass overseeding and stuff, you apply your fall, high phosphorus and stuff like that. And then the grass sort of slows down and it doesn't take up as much as that. And that can mess with your soil samples.
True. Yeah.
You know, things slow down. So I might do mine in like maybe in July or something. I don't know that I've ever pulled one in July. Maybe I'll do it in July because should be cutting back on a lot of stuff, sort of chilling out because it's hot and possibly dry. And maybe you pull one then and just see how things are looking after the grass have used up a bunch of the fertilizer nutrients.
That makes sense. Yeah. If you kind of have you're already in the process of getting the season started. Yeah. When you back off and it kind of goes through that summer, whatever, and kind of see where you're sitting at before fall. That's a good idea. If you didn't want to do in the spring, or if you forgot and you already put fertilizer down. Yeah.
What do you got going on, Cody, down south?
Not a whole lot. This
Crabs.
Yeah. That's always going on. Gonorrhea. No. No, it's like you guys said previously, I took my soil samples in late November. And I think, based off of how I feel and what all I didn't really do to my lawn. I know I threw down the perennial rye and that did great and still kind of holding on out there, but I'm fine with where I am right now. I think it's going to last up until, and because I've been debating, because honestly, my first application of, anything is not going to be until late April to May. So I'm not too worried about it. I know I was happy with them. So before my pH, right, before November was a 8.1 in my Bermuda, which was insane.
Yeah, that sounds.
And with the help with Earth Science and their products that they graciously sent me and did my soil samples in November, jumped down to a 7.6, which it's not huge, but it's a great,
Dude,
yeah. And, I know what to do from here on out with that. And kind of like what Oli was saying, I may do something later in the season to see where I am. So, but everything's going good here. We just had some big rains and thunderstorms, so my soil's getting nice and moist.
That helps it wake up too, right? I mean, mine already looks. We had some good rain last week, and it's already looking a little greener. Like it's a little bit warmer weather. Give it some moisture.
Oh yeah,
starts popping. Yeah.
And I looked out this morning in my backyard and I was like, wait, did I see some green out there? I was like, that's nuts. Because yesterday we were 70, 75. Today we're in the 50s. It's flip-flopping, and next week we're supposed to be in the 80s already. And I'm just like, all right, here we go.
Right off the rip, how deep do you guys stick it in when you pull it? And why does it matter? Why does it matter?
So I went out to go pull my plugs a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And I hit it and the ground was rock solid. I was like, oh no. I was all ready to I have my little GoPro set up, and then I was like, well, let it go somewhere else. And then thankfully I got a good one in there. It's like, okay. I just won't pull from that spot. That sees too much shade, but so I think you want to get down at least a good 4 inches, maybe 4 is what I'm thinking, I think that's that's average, right? Right, ladies? 4 inches, is that average? No, that's a lot. I mean, you could go deeper, but right. 4 inches. I could be wrong. What do you guys think? 4 inches, is that pretty typical, or?
I mean, I think the key is whatever depth you go with for your soil sample, you need to be consistent and go with that every single time. Yeah. If you change it up and go to 6 instead of 4 or 5, then you need to stick with that every single time. And for the whole season, if I wanted to pull one in March and then again in November, those are either going to be 4 or 6, and I know my front yard, it's tough as hell. So I'll go 4 inches in my front yard. And, in my backyard, I know I can go a little bit deeper. Gives me a little bit more leeway. I'll go to 5, 6. So, but it's always being consistent in, the front or back.
Most lab tests, you got to write how many inches you pulled. So you gotta, and that's important that if you send a sample in at 4 inches and then they sample that has a depth of 6 inches, then you're not going to get an accurate result. So
That makes sense.
I use Logan Labs.
If you went around and you pulled all your samples 2 inches, that's where all the stuff you've been applying is resting. So things are going to look great. Then you went and pulled a sample from 12 inches. Well, down here, they ain't much
down there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or at least nothing you're putting down.
So let's pretend for a second, like I've never taken a soil test before. So if I go and I get, I don't know, like a probe or, Okilongai, and I know Nate's done apple cores, so they went, you get a couple inches. So if I just take that whole sample and I just throw it in a bag, are we good to go? I just send that off, and what do I have to do beforehand? I mean, what do I need to, like, how do I need to do the soil test?
I mean, you got to clean up the soil when you pull those plugs, get all any kind of grass or twigs or any kind of rocks or whatever, pebbles. And
get all the organic matter out of there.
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. Oli, why?
So your top thatch layer, do you send that in or do you take that off?
Oh, I take that off.
Well, from what I know is you're hiring the lab to do your soil test.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched videos where people take and pull all their cores and they put them in a bucket, and then they take and crush them, and they spend hours farting with them and messing and just send in a beautiful soil sample. So I called Logan Labs, I've called Spectrum, I've called Waypoint. I said, hey, I'm going to throw these turds in a Ziploc and send them to you. It's fine. We got a dryer, we got a grinder, we got a sifter. You're paying us to sample that soil.
Son of a bitch.
So a lot of those videos are misleading.
So they're going to process it anyway. So why even, what do you even try to do here? It doesn't matter. They're going to throw through those machines anyway.
You think a farmer with thousands of acres is going to be out there?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean,
well, just, I've seen some of these videos, some of these big YouTube timers, and they're doing all that manicuring to that soil and spending, like days letting it dry out and stuff like that.
I'll have to look because I don't remember on the sheet where I took mine to the university, and I know that they're set up for agriculture out here in Missouri. And I don't remember if the sheet asked me or told me or gave any instructions on actually what to do with it, other than put it in a Ziploc or a paper bag. And then you bring it in and you put it in their little cups, and then you write your name and number on it, and they process it. I did crush it up and smush it up because I think probably because I watched YouTubers telling me to do that. So maybe, that's a good,
I mean, if you ask the labs, they'll tell you they got dryers, grinders, sifters. They're there to test soil. They're not going to reject it because it comes in there in plugs. They're there to test it. I think the
worst
main
case
thing
they say
is
get more dirt, maybe. Like,
you didn't give us enough. You got to have enough. Like most of their bags.
How much are you supposed to send?
2 cups.
A lot of your companies will send you bags if you request them, and they have a fill mark on them to where they have enough to sample.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, they still have enough to do that test for you without calling you up and say, hey, we spilt your dirt. We spilt the ashes.
What the?
Look at that guy.
What?
Whoa, wait, what? Who's that?
What the heck are you doing here, man?
Hey, Andrew.
All right, guys. I meant to type in backroom casting couch. Wrong
wrong webcam show.
That's a little bit later tonight.
Inches.
You got the wrong tab open.
And
I think
it's interesting.
10 minutes of talking about 6 inches and 8 inches and 12 inches.
All right. Well, I got a question for you right quick. And maybe you and Nate can answer this. Does a bull moo any different than a female, than a cow, I guess?
Wow.
Does it have anything to do with Nate's fingers?
What you didn't talk about last time, and I was off because I was sick when you came on, but you guys didn't talk about how Andrew wrote it a couple times that night. And when he wrote it, he actually had a little something on his back too.
There's no photos of that. It didn't happen.
I didn't.
I got a video. But yeah, that was a good time.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was. we got something planned for this year.
Oh,
We
man.
plan a couple good things. It'll be fun.
Hey, Sir Andrew, you guys sell soil probes. Do you guys have any instructions with that, or do you guys have any advice on if somebody were to use one of yours to pull soil samples? What would you guys tell them if they called you guys up and said, "Hey, how deep should I go?"
Depends if I answer the phone or if my wife does. No,
Good
so
answer.
so ours is actually like 18, 20 inches. When we developed that, it was just the kind of standard soil probe that everyone did. When I send off my samples, 4 to 6 inches. And then what I do recommend people is to get it from, several different locations in your yard. But other than that, that's about it. Obviously don't go super deep, because then you're just getting dirt that the fertilizer is never going to get to. Your nutrients are never going to get there. So what's the point in sampling this dirt that's never going to be impacted?
Yeah.
I do like using the
Sense.
longer probes just to kind of see what's going on under there. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
kind of test the moisture. So like I do like how the one you make's a little longer, so you can go farther if you want, just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
That moisture test, the tip test.
Will you send all that dirt in though? So if you go down to like 14 inches, are you sending all of that dirt?
No, I'm just saying just to test and look throughout the year,
Okay,
just to
yeah.
check it out.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. To see which spots, if maybe the sprinklers aren't hitting it good, or you maybe need to aerate because you're not getting good drainage. So it just kind of stays in that top layer, whereas other spots, the water can kind of soak in deeper. I have areas where you can tell there's gravel down there from when they were laying the driveway or something, you're like, oh crap, maybe. So if you have spots that are struggling, that you could use that to kind of see, is there a giant rock or something in the way for those roots? So it makes sense to have long ones. So yeah, soil tests aren't the only reason you get a soil probe.
Well,
it's a handy tool to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Why'd you pop on, Andrew?
Yeah. So we can give a couple away if you guys want.
What?
Ooh, what?
Dang.
I mean, if we're talking about
Yeah.
soil probes, it's only, I think it's only fair.
That's good
Oh,
timing for the
man.
season too.
Look
Yeah,
at
that's
this.
awesome.
All right.
Well, what's the word of the day, Andrew? We'll let you pick it out.
Ooh.
Deep.
Pressure.
Average.
Ride the bull.
Average. I like
Average.
average. Average. Girth.
Right.
How about girth? Girth.
I'm out.
We can do a couple. So I'll let you guys. Nate, I'll let you decide.
Most
Since
of the chat's
since
been
you sent me a
drinking,
gift.
so nothing too hard to spell or that.
Yeah, no, we can go with girth if you're looking for a word. And Nate sent me a little gift last week, hand delivered. So I'll let Nate pick if you want to give out 2 or 3. It's up to you.
Yeah, we'll do a couple. We'll do 2. How's that sound?
Good, Bill. Nice shirt, man.
Thanks, brother. Yeah.
So we got everybody's a little confused in the chat. We got average and girth going like crazy. So
Either one.
either one,
if you
I
type,
guess.
if you type them both, you get 2 entries. How's that sound?
Oh no.
Oh, geez.
Should
Don't
we-
do that.
You guys should have
Don't
said
do that to
girth and
Brian.
length, and then we could see which one went out.
Do a poll.
Yeah, exactly.
So we
All
got
right,
to
I'll
the
be back
point
in like
where
20 minutes.
we know how deep we're going, and then we're gathering the material, putting it in a bag that they put, whatever they recommend. I know Logan Labs recommends 2 cups, or they send out little brown baggies that has the fill. And also, like, if you fill a normal size Ziploc bag pretty much completely full, that's about 2 cups, I've realized. So I don't even measure 2 cups. I just fill up a Ziploc bag and I send it in. So then what?
Real question. How many of you
Okay.
feel like
Okay,
you're dealing drugs when you're doing this, though?
That's
Does
funny.
it-
Yeah.
It feels like you're doing something like conspicuous. You're like out there and you're getting these things and you put them in a baggie and you're taking them to the mail. I'm just like, I'm looking over my shoulder like the whole time, like, nope, it's just soil.
Yeah. I promise this is my house. This isn't some random thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So what? So yeah, they send them off, and they do whatever magic they do to process it, and they spit you out a report, right? That's got, I guess, depending on which soil test you do and where you take it, some of them will give you different levels of detail. I would say probably different levels of complexity, but there's some basic things that I think they all give you, right? Your NPK, pH. Let's see, maybe some of the micros like manganese, copper, maybe some of those elements, iron. What do you guys? What else do you guys see on those tests?
You have different test levels.
Sure.
Like different price ranges. Like with Spectrum, they got a T1, a T2, and a T3. So you get different nutrients or whatever. And I know a lot of people ask about like your, I don't know, I'm trying to think like NC State does a soil test for people around here, and a certain time of the year it's free, but it's good for like pH and a few things. It's not a whole list. I don't think it would, I'd have to go grab mine, but I don't think it shows you like copper or sulfur and stuff of that nature. I don't think it goes as in detail.
So speaking real quick, speaking of detail and what it provides and whatnot, there was a comment in the chat right now. It says, I got a test from Georgia State and it didn't give me in. So there's no nitrogen reading.
That's not common.
But let's talk about the nitrogen reading and the kind of, do you put a lot of value or emphasis into that nitrogen level that it's going to give you, and why?
The only reason I could see that you would is if you were just hammering down way too much fertilizer, and it would tell you, say, hey, back off, you're wasting it. But most of your test does not test for nitrogen, because that's something because it's the first thing to get gone, either leach, use something, it gets gone.
It doesn't stay around for very long. So why check for it? Because tomorrow it could be less or different, and then you just apply more.
Yep. And that's probably the only thing that everybody says, most common thing is, hey, you need 4 pounds of nitrogen a year, through the year. You don't really ever hear nobody right off the bat say you need X amount of pounds of phosphorus or potassium. You normally judge that off of your test, what to fix or, what to try to improve.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's important to understand, because I see that comment a lot about nitrogen, or, hey, my level is here. And to your point, it really doesn't matter, because by the time you take your sample, send it in, get your results, that level has drastically changed compared to your potassium and phosphorus, which take a lot longer time to change the levels that are in your soil. So to answer the question in the chat, that's probably why nitrogen wasn't even included in the test, because there's not as much value in that result.
It's good to know. Yeah.
So NPK, micronutrients are on the soil test. Then there's CEC and organic matter on some. I know some people attribute, higher CECs are typically a clayer soil or tougher soil. And I don't know if that's, I don't know. I don't really know if that's 100% true. My CEC is like 11 and 12, and I can stick my probe in all the way. So I don't know how, I don't know what that means, if I'm testing wrong or how that's going on, but everybody I talk to, if they say I have 12, my CEC level is 12, that it should be, kind of hard, but I mean, I can go all the way down.
I have a lot of clay, and like literally when I pull the core, you can see like the top, I don't know, let's just say 2 inches or so is black dirt. And then you literally have like gray clay. I mean, I could pull enough soil samples and get one of those wheels, and I could probably make a bowl out of my ground. But But so mine last year was 23. And to me, that makes sense where, I mean, I'll put it in.
Yeah.
I get the probe in about that 4 to 6 inches, and to go any deeper, I got all my body weight into it, pushing down on that sucker, and it's not going much deeper. So, to me, when I hear you saying, "Oh, I got about 10 or so," to me that makes sense that yours is, you should be able to go down a lot farther. But I think it also depends on what was your land before. My house is not that old.
Nice.
This area was only developed, I'd say, less than 10 years ago. So 10
It's
years
a good looking
ago,
probe.
10 years ago, this neighborhood was basically a cornfield.
Mhm.
And so you would think that it has a lot of black dirt, but what does every home builder do? First thing they're
Figure
going
all
to do
that
is
stuff out.
they strip out all the black
Yeah.
dirt. And they put
Flatten
it in
it.
they put it in a big old pile, and they take that and they'll sell it back to you, or they'll sell it to
Yeah.
someone else who's looking for black dirt, but they ain't keeping that on the property. So what you're left with is kind of the clay, and that's one thing that I don't know if everyone else deals with that, but that's what we deal with here.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Mhm.
and so that's what the tough part is. So yes,
That's not something you can change. You'd have to just bring in more dirt, right? I mean, it would take you so long of adding organic matter to like have any dent in that. All you can really do is bring in more dirt, really.
Yep.
Well, you can,
Yes.
if you can make your own topsoil, that's
It's a
like when
slow
I got
process,
this-
though, right? I mean, it's
It
not.
is a
it's
slow.
not
Yeah,
quick.
It
it's
takes
not.
some
It's
time.
not immediate.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
that's
I mean,
one thing. Like when I got this place, it was stripped. Like he's talking about, they strip all the good stuff off, and they're trying to get down to a base to dig you a good foundation and all that. And a lot of times it's grading to get rid of the water. You lose all the good stuff. But over time, you definitely can, recycle your clippings. And
Sure.
the biggest thing is to have healthy turf, because it's continuously growing roots. They're dying, growing roots. They're dying. And that's your best form of organic material right there. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the big benefits of not bagging your clippings, aside from being lazy, is all that stuff is just going to go right back there. And that's all you really got, right, to try to produce anything. So, I mean, you're obviously giving it inputs, but that's a positive input of organic matter on that soil, albeit.
I mean, if you had
slow.
a small area you were working with, and go buy you some good topsoil or chicken manure or something and till it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I looked at all that kind of stuff, and just, it wasn't cost friendly. Wasn't going to
Sure.
have.
Yeah.
Well, speaking
Especially now
of
the yard
bagging
your
clippings,
size.
Bill, speaking of bagging clippings, so like if you have example high phosphorus, bagging your clippings all year, that's like really one of the only ways you can lower your phosphorus. I mean, you're not going to lower it by much. It's going to be very little, but if you're high on certain nutrients, bagging your clippings other than recycling them is a way to, get the levels where you want them, even though like phosphorus, it's a very slow process doing that way, but
yeah.
So Andrew, what's probably the most common question you guys get asked when someone wants to purchase a soil probe?
That's actually the one product that people don't ask a lot of questions about. We do get, the like you mentioned earlier, with depth, do we recommend who to send it to anyone? My one recommendation is, though, if you do get some kind of funky reading, or they recommend, adding, some ridiculous amount of nitrogen or anything, follow up. So I live in Jersey. We use the extension office at Rutgers. And a couple of years ago, I got, when we first moved in, same thing. I guess the house we moved into was like a year old. They stripped all the topsoil, and I saw someone asking in the chat, they're selling that somewhere. They're bringing in fill dirt, bunch of like beer bottles and bricks and all this other shit. So, at first the readings were, pretty accurate for what was there. And then one year I just got something really funky. So I called them, and the guys were just really great about explaining everything, and just being like, hey, you may want to resend in the sample. Maybe you didn't pull from enough spots, but no, to be honest, we don't get a ton of questions. I think that's probably one of our most straightforward products.
Gotcha. So then,
Lawn Radiance sent me in, and actually, I've used a Pro plugger before to pull cores. One time it was kind of muddy and sticky out, and every time I'd pull one with just my normal soil probe, it would just get stuck in there, and I was just taking forever. So one year I used my Pro plugger just because that thing was just pulling them out, even though it was kind of like overkill, but it did work well when I had like a soggy. But this is Lawn Radiance. What he did, he just sent me this.
So there's an example of those bags where they just give you a line. They mark the line, say, hey, fill it up to here. So
it looks like
need to measure it.
Looks like one of those cores will just fit right in that bag.
Right. Yeah. The things are thick.
Some girth right there, man.
Yeah, I assume he mixes them all up, and
yeah.
That's the thing too. How many cores do you guys take on your property?
So last year,
they tell you first of all to walk an X.
Mm-hmm.
To walk in an X the property, and then put that in a bucket and blend them. So, and then in far as blending them like that, that would be nice if they were a little more crushed up and stirred together, but not to the point where you have to sift it and pull everything out.
Right.
Well,
and
like
then
my
you get a big
2,000
handful
square
of
foot
that
lawn in
back.
the front. I might pull 10 to 12 plugs in my 2,000 square feet in the front and about 15 to 20 in the 3,000 square feet in the back. Whether that's enough or not, I mean, that's,
And that right there is a good thing, Cody. It's better to have your yard in sections.
Yeah.
That way, if you've got, the front, you can come, it may be totally different than the back.
Oh, yeah.
It's better to have things in sections. That way, your front, you might need might need more of a certain thing than what the back does.
The back has some really good soil. And we put that sod in there in the back a couple years ago. So we put in some good stuff and all that. And the front yard is just crap. But that backyard is totally different.
Yeah,
you can have pine trees, and pine trees change the pH.
Steel cut. He uses that apple core too. He just sent me that.
Yeah. So just a note on the apple core. So, I mean, it's a good, cheap alternative. I mean, I think it's anywhere from $6 to $10. I know if you go with the red handle, it's like the sport limited edition. So it's like an extra $1, but no, I'm joking. But, no, I used that last year just because I was like, it was my first time. I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to, kind of dive all the way in with a $50, so I was like, oh, let's do this. And I remember the whole talk of, and these are exactly 4 inches. So, I mean, you got to go down to the knuckles when you're doing it. And,
deep.
Yeah. And like I said, when, with my CCs being 23, it was a hell of a workout. You know what I mean? Because you're not getting like your whole body in that. You're just using
your
hand to get in. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, it works. It is a good alternative, but like I said, I mean, mine after pulling my plugs, it was probably shot. I mean, if I would have used it this season, I don't think it would have even made it through because it was about ready to break after the first one. But yeah, it is a quick, cheap, $5-10 thing. And then look for the one that you actually can get a free potato peeler with it. That's what I did. So that was a bonus when I got mine.
So here's a quick question for you guys that came in through the chat from a Ryan Kopke.
That's my boy right there.
Do you go just for your best looking turf and pull the plugs, or do you go and get those spots that are maybe dead or dying? What do you do?
I think it's just like anything. If you're going just for the good looking spots, you're going to get better results. So you're only essentially lying to yourself in a way. But if you go, get the worst spots, you're going to get kind of worse results. I think, in my opinion, you should do a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like,
or are you just sending? Sorry, are you sending just kind of like Oli said? Are you kind of like a front and a back? Are you sending different samples at that point? And maybe, I mean, then you're really like isolating it. But if you're mixing it, that may be your best. You definitely don't want to get your best and you don't want to get your worst. So you either mix it or send 2 different samples, in my opinion. So hey, this is why my lawn is looking like crap because I'm low on this, or this is why this lawn is looking really good because I'm doing this right. I just make the tools and shit. I probably should keep my mouth shut.
No, yeah, that's good. That's good shit.
Yeah,
But to your point, if you're gonna pull samples front and back, then you have to address front and back. And that's one thing that
has to be separate.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, then you need to have a plan separated because it's pointless to do front and back and then you just have a uniform plan for your whole yard. You know what I mean? So if you're not planning on breaking them out front and back, or if the results are similar, then you can do that. But yeah, I mean, me personally, I don't have like fences or I don't have any like hard scapes that separate it. Essentially it's all connected. There's no fences. So I do mine as a whole, and then I'm going to dress it as a whole, and my applications are going to go down on the whole property as is. That's how I do mine.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Here,
I did
bunch
a
of people
front and
sending
back
their
last
probes.
year. Oh yeah. Oh, that's different looking. What's on the top of
Yeah.
it?
It looks like somebody's like prosthetic
modified
leg
it.
kind of thing.
I don't know. I got
Yeah.
I got like 10
It looks
dudes
long.
probes in my DMs.
Well, yeah, keep throwing them up. I'll be curious to see what everybody uses. But
What
I
were
did
you
the
saying?
front and back of my yard because the front yard is where for a few years I was fertilizing it and top dressing it, overseeding it. And I hadn't done a soil test up to that point. My first soil test was last year. And then during those years, the backyard, I kind of neglected. I maybe thrown some Milorgan on it once or twice throughout the season, but I never really gave it irrigation, never really gave it the love. So I wanted to see if there's a difference front and back and, and how significant that was. I forgot, I left my samples at work. So I don't have them and I can't seem to find them on my laptop. Otherwise I pull them up, but I know that our reports came out with like suggested ratios or whatever to apply, or here's how many pounds of this would get you into the, Goldilocks zone or something like that. And I'm wondering too, so if nitrogen is not as important, when you're looking at those numbers, would you be more inclined to try to find a fertilizer ratio that had the potassium and phosphorus more lined up with what your needs, and then speaking of phosphorus, we talk a lot about how that's kind of, it's there, it's not going to move or whatever. I erred on the side of just doing I think I did the lawn box of 704 because I knew I had a little potassium, a little nitrogen, but maybe just hold off on the phosphorus since I didn't need it, or thinking that I may not need it. Whereas those other two may be more important, or at least the potassium. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think that you have to really, how close can you follow the recommendations if your report comes with it? Do you really have to find like this ratio that's exact, or what do you guys do to try to match up with what your results say to do?
I mean, to me, it's just like anything. Like, I don't think you're going to change anything with one application, so you're doing things to move in the direction you need to move. Example, pH. If your pH is high, well, then are you going to put lime down? No. You know what I mean? So it's like, those are things that it'll give you guidance in what to do. Maybe some products you should or shouldn't use, or, like you said, if you are high in phosphorus, well, you don't go out and buy like a 15-15-15. You may look for like a 15-0-15. You know what I mean? So I think it gives you guidance in products to look for, but I don't think you're ever going to be like, oh, this is a 744 and this is a 764. So I got to buy this one. You know what I mean? It's not going to be that much of a difference.
Sure.
To
one
move
application.
it. Yeah. I mean, and maybe year to year, as you get, let's just say you have in 5 years, maybe you are more aggressive in your first 3 years to move that direction. And then maybe the last 2 years, you kind of back off and you're not doing as, or you go every other, maybe one application you have some phosphorus and the next application you don't. And so you're not putting as much on for the entire year, and I don't know how much people track, I think everyone tracks like their nitrogen, whatever you're targeting for pounds for the year. I think a lot of people do track their potassium and phosphorus, but my guess is not a lot of people track that as well. So
Yeah, I
that's
guess we don't
something to
really
think.
talk about it that much. Yeah. We're
You know,
more
so-
worried about how many pounds of nitrogen we're putting down.
So if you're not tracking, I mean, off the top of your head, do you have any notes that say this is how many pounds of potassium I put down last year?
No.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's my point. But you know, if you're low, you need to add some, and then you're going to do your soil test this year. It's
Yeah.
either going to move one way or the other, right?
It almost is like here's the nitrogen I want to put down. Now, how much of everything else do I want with that? You know,
Yep.
like I'm going to be
Yep.
putting down this much. Do I want a little bit of potassium or a lot? Do I want a little bit of phosphorus, not much? Do I want a ratio of 2-to-1 or 3-to-1? That way you can find that and just do that with each application or vary it throughout the year. That makes sense. And then I guess if we're only doing annual soil tests, you're basically, you want to say, what's my plan for the year? And then next year with my next soil test, I'll see what impact I had rather than do it after each application. You're not testing that frequently. I mean, I guess you could, but what's the point?
It's just nitrogen leaches a lot more than phosphorus or potassium. So I mean,
that comes and goes. And
if you got high phosphorus, I mean that could last 20 years. You could be high in phosphorus.
Yeah.
So
I think one topic we should definitely hit on is pH and the significance of pH, the importance of pH. I definitely think we have to include that in this show.
You want to do a
how long
spin?
are we?
Spin
Yeah, I
through?
was gonna say.
We
We
got
look
Brian.
at that.
Hey-o.
Yeah, that thing's super cool.
That does look pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
She loves it.
Dude.
Thank
You
you.
guys have so many flower pots full of little piles of dirt. They'll be out there helping you. That's
Oh,
awesome.
she loads it up. And
We'll
It's a
help
trip.
her.
Thank you.
So
No worries.
yeah,
of
let's
course.
Brian, if you're ready, let's do one spin, then let's talk about pH, and then let's do another one. How's that sound, guys?
Yeah, Brian also has some websites loaded up to walk us through some tests if we want to get into that. Actually,
do that.
Hard sent me some info too.
Let's do that for pH then. Let's
Just
Oh.
just a shout out to Nate. Thanks for doing those
Damn,
two double
72?
words.
That's insane.
Well, a lot of them are double, guys. So I had to sit there and try to.
Oh,
I
you
need
did
blacked
that?
out.
No,
Let's get some likes in
Maybe
here,
double
y'all.
work.
We got
I wanna
59
rage,
watching,
Brian.
but
I wanna
35
rage.
likes.
You want what? A rage?
I want to rage with some music here.
Yeah. Oh, the tunes last week was
something
fire.
queued up. See if you guys like this one or not. But I'm gonna do 5 shuffles just because there's some names that are together and stuff like that, just to get it all mixed up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what? Hopefully I shared my music with it. I guess we'll see. All right, so full screen. So this is for one of the Landsea probes. Here we go. Oh, Chris Reagan. Congrats.
Right on, brother.
We'll move you from there. All right. So is that it? Just the one? for now?
Yeah, we'll come back to one at the end of the show.
Awesome. Well, also in the meantime, before we get to pH, because we're kind of at that magic 45, 50 minute mark, we are bringing back guest spot drawings for our show.
My favorite.
So if some of you guys may be
Yeah.
familiar with it, a lot of you are new enough that you probably don't know about this, but we like to bring one of you guys on, one of you in the live chat, onto the show just to chit chat, talk, be on camera, share your knowledge, and just BS with us one of these nights. So we're going to do a drawing for next week. If you guys are interested in joining us, let's just do KOTG. Type
like
KO.
it.
What?
I like it. KOTG.
All right. So type KOTG in the chat, and we'll do another wheel of names for those who are interested in jumping in and being on the show next week with us talking about our topic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we figured in lieu of KOTG Lawn of the Week this week, we'll do a spin for a guest next week. We'll give everybody a chance to get a few bouts of rain and maybe their first mow in. Use that hashtag KOTG lawn of the week for your chance next week to win. Get your choice of a bag of Pro Pete
Andrew.
fertilizer.
You're entering in that drawing.
So speaking of lawn of the week, does anyone know where the belt is?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Because I haven't seen it. I haven't
Whoever's
heard
got
about
the
it.
belt, we're about to go to that address.
I was asked recently, somebody said, hey man, I apologize. We're getting it out there. I don't remember who it was, but they were saying that when it comes their way, he's like, I know we're behind. And I was like, hey man, that's cool. You know, we're not like, you know, it's your guys' belt, man. Y'all are the winners, man. Take your time, make something fun, enjoy it. You know, if it's behind, that's great. But yeah, I'm curious who's got it. I don't know.
So here's
we got
the
a
other thing
ton of entries.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
damn,
awesome.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say the same thing, Zach. Like when we first, it was probably episode 5 when we started this or something like that, and we had this idea of, hey, let's just bring someone on and see if they want to shoot the shit with us. And I think we had like 3 or 4 people, and I think at that point everyone's like kind of scared, like, oh, yeah. I don't want to get on video. Then it went to like maybe 5 or 6 people, but now, I mean, I bet we got 20 plus that are willing.
That's awesome.
You know, so I mean, that's awesome. That's fun. That's awesome great. Right there. That, you know, our people in the live chat are, you know, they want to get on, they want to shoot the shit, they want to be on camera. So super cool, guys. That's awesome.
Who Justin, drunk long guy, you know who has the belt? You said the F wording belt, it's missing.
I don't know. Somebody tried to send it to Australia and it got lost along the way.
Oh,
geez. They were talking about doing that. I wonder if they did. It's probably on a boat.
Somebody shelled out the Benjamins to get it all the way down there.
It was probably on that belt with those like 100 Lambos and all that stuff that burned up in the ocean.
Oh, no.
So yeah, you guys are going to talk about pH.
Yeah, what about pH?
So Oli, you just sent me this.
Yes, sir. So somewhere between 6.3 and 6.5 is supposedly ideal where everything's available.
You know, and so to that point, that would be pretty hard to get that specific of a pH. So is there a broader range that you should shoot for like the average person?
6 to 7.
We're not average, man. We're hashtag lawn freaks. Keep off the grass. We're shooting for perfection.
KOTG lawn of the week style.
Yeah. Those stripes don't paint themselves.
Keep them curvy.
Shit.
Hashtag keep them curvy.
Hashtag I'm ready to get off the show tonight. Keep that crap up. So my point was,
it don't look good.
Yeah, it's stupid. Anyways, my point is for the average homeowner that's going to be getting a soil test, that's going to be looking to make their lawn look good, you're going to shoot for a target between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Certain regions will typically be higher, and some regions will be typically lower. You know, so keep that in mind that, you know, you may be doing everything right, and the nature of your soil and everything is going to be, you know, historically high or whatever it may be. So that's when you're going to be trying to put products down that can start moving it in that direction. Okay. So
I don't know how much. Speaking of location, it looks like this one may be from Australia.
Yeah, I see the AU at the end there.
I don't know how much that's affected.
No, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't think it matters either. I just noticed that. I did find an old one of mine a couple of years ago. I know someone mentioned they didn't get nitrogen on their report. Mine doesn't have nitrogen either. Maybe it's just if it comes from the universities, they don't give you nitrogen on your report. There's like recommendations for how much to put down based off of the location because it is so specific. So I don't know if that's just a common thing.
I honestly don't remember whether or not mine had it. So I'm gonna look when I go into work tomorrow. I'm like, God, I need to.
Mine had it.
I know Logan Labs doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But Andrew, yours it tells you like here's the recommended pounds per 1,000. but it doesn't actually tell you how much is in your lawn right now. It doesn't give you that number.
There's no reading, but there's like 4 pages about the recommendations of nitrogen, and then like a little sentence about recommendations for everything else. So I think they just figured just because it's like such, the timing of it, by the time you get your soil test back and the results back, it's going to be changed anyway.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
back
for
to
the $5.
pH.
Hey,
Drunk
shout
lawn
out Drunk
guy.
Lawn Guy. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah,
We do need to find the belt. If
is
somebody
the
finds that
KOTG
belt, I'll match
GoFundMe
the
for the
5 and
belt.
pay them.
We're going to have to pay like 50 to get it back from Australia.
That's where they really sent it?
I have no
No.
idea. I was just throwing it out there.
Just-
I don't think so, but shoot, if we get everybody chipping in $5, we could send it to Australia.
Yeah, whoever
No.
has it, take a picture and send it to us. And let us know who.
That's why it's
has
been
it.
missing for months.
I'll have to
Is
just make a new fucking belt.
I say we're going to get a
It
season
had to be
2
getting
version.
full.
Season 1, season 2 belts.
yeah, there you go. We need a
But-
62 belt.
So, okay, let's go back to pH. Why? So we're targeting 6 to 7. So if you're high in the 7+, 8+, what's wrong with that? What's happening? What's not happening in your lawn?
I know for me, it's not going to be taking up the nutrients and whatever you're putting in it like it
I
should.
was going to say, yeah, I don't know specifically, but I know there's something about the absorption that gets
So
impacted.
isn't that the
Well,
same
that's what
for
we
if
just
it's too
showed.
low?
That's what I was just
Yeah.
showing was the
Yeah, those are the ranges where you get the
That chart
best
looks
absorption
better.
of those.
You got another
So,
one, Oli?
so,
yeah, I just sent you a good one.
Whether you're high or low. Yeah.
so Nita, does
Stick a
it do
picture of your
something if it's
screen.
too low?
Yeah,
Let's take
it's
a
gonna-
look. I mean,
It's the same thing. If you look at the chart, you
It
match up
depends
the bottom
on-
number.
So it
And-
has to be in that range. So if it's below the 6 or if it's above the 7, it's not going to absorb either way.
It's not
as-
as not
as
as,
well.
available.
It's not as
As well,
effective.
right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that some of those micros are at lower pHs. They appear to be more, and then all of a sudden molybdenum is way up high.
How'd you say that?
Molybdenum. I don't know.
Aluminum.
That's a better one.
Molybdenum. Bleh.
So
But yeah,
if
so I guess
you're-
right in between them. Yeah, that's a good way to kind of split the difference between them.
So if you're too high, you're going to miss out on some of the micros a little bit.
Mhm.
Correct.
So closer to 6, you can get, the better you're going to get more of your macros and your micros. That's what it looks like.
Ding
Yep.
ding.
I imagine that the pH will fluctuate here and there too throughout the season with rains
So-
and whatnot.
That's why if some people, they obsess over every nutrient on their soil test, it's really not worth it if your pH is out of whack. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you could
correct.
see, like, let's say you had a pH of 7.5, you don't have a lot of micronutrients available to you. So, I mean, applying them may help in the short term, but I mean, if you work on getting that pH lower, a lot of it will just become available and you don't have to spend the money to apply them.
Right.
So so to your point, which is kind of where I was leading to with the whole soil sample pH thing is so in essence, if you're reading your soil sample graph, what is probably the number one thing, or what should you target the most to try and what should you approach the most to try and correct things or get things heading in the right direction?
pH.
pH.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I was wanting to get to with this whole conversation is don't chase the micros, and chase
How
the
do you
pH.
do it? How do you adjust the pH?
Well,
But
then
you had
there's
said lime earlier. If you don't put lime down, if you want to, well, if your pH is high, because so lime, I guess, makes it even higher.
Well, fast
lime.
acting. Well, sulfur.
lime will raise your pH.
Okay.
And sulfur
Well, wait,
will,
hold up. Let's stick to lime. So, Oli, there's 2 different types of lime. What's that?
Yes, sir. Dometic, and calcitic. And depending on where your magnesium is the one you want to choose. Like my biggest mistake in the beginning is I had a soil sample took, sent it off to NC State, and the first thing I was after was pH. My pH was like a 4.9. So I go out and I went out and got 2,000 pounds of Dometic lime. And I changed the pH, but what I didn't know is about the magnesium. So that product has a lot of magnesium. So then I had a magnesium problem because then I had an abundance of magnesium. So if I'd have known what I know now, I would have went with calcitic lime. And that way I could have changed the pH, but not got all the magnesium.
And that's calcium instead of magnesium.
So, to keep yourself from doing 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, you start learning and listening to some of this stuff. And in that way, you don't waste so much money.
Yeah. Good call.
Well, also with that.
Okay. So that the lime raises the pH, right? And so then, and that's what we were talking about, the 2 different versions of it. So you said, you guys are saying, Zach, sulfur helps you lower it. Is that what you
get back?
Yeah,
like
elemental sulfur. And then also let's say you're on the borderline where let's say you're extremely high pH, you can use citric acid as a method to start lowering that it's kind of like a temporary solution, but it kind of helps speed up the process.
Acid.
But I mean, if you're kind of like borderline, you may want to use your nitrogen source from ammonium sulfate, which will also help lower the pH. That ammonium sulfate versus something like urea, it's not going to help lower the pH. So
there's some great comments in the chat right now about like gypsum. Gypsum does not change pH, but a lot of people will use gypsum to it's essentially like a soil conditioner,
sulfur and calcium.
Yep. So, but like here's one thing I've noticed in around the Midwest and then just talking with other people like in Iowa and stuff like that, our pH tends to be a little high. But if I go to Lowe's, there are pallets of lime, but you cannot find like AMS at like Lowe's. Yeah. You have to go to like a Tractor Supply store or something like that, which I think is kind of odd that that historically the Midwest seems it's a higher pH, but we have lime in the store. You know what I mean? It's kind of it just seems like the
like who's buying it and why?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. Like to me, lime putting lime down is like you see farmers doing it. You'll see farmers doing it a lot. But I hear a lot of people talk about, oh yeah, my grandpa used to put lime down on his lawn, so like I just do it, and I'm just like, well, do you know why you're doing it, and stuff like that. And, like I said, I was just at Lowe's last weekend buying some pre-emergent, and I noticed the pallets of lime are out, and I'm just like, that's I thought that was odd that for the area that's that way.
Does it have anything to do with like snow and like any kind of recovery after snow, anything like that? Somebody was saying, I don't think so. I think I had a coworker, or maybe a friend of one of my wife's friends' husbands talk about putting lime down after like a heavy winter or something. I don't know if I'm wrong or misremembering it, but something about lime to prevent or to recover from something. I don't remember what though.
Never heard of that. That's true. Never heard of that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people use AMS. Like I said, in the spring and in the fall, because that's what they're going to use to try and get their pH down. But definitely everything I've seen, it's usually a very high nitrogen, so you don't want to use it in the summer.
I'm just going to pull up a couple of the sites here so that people know what we're talking about. I know, you can use your local university or whatever outlet there, but there's, you got Logan Labs. I found Logan Labs to be the simplest as far as navigating through their site and finding stuff. You just click on this submit samples, read through the instruction sheet here, open up, you got a worksheet, print that out, fill it out, put down your sample IDs, depending on which one you have, how many samples you're going to do with the backyard, front yard, or whatever. You go through that one. Another one is spectrumanalytic.com. Come in here, you submit samples, find out your services through there as well. And I think this one you had to create a login, if I remember correctly, to submit samples and stuff online. And then the other one is Waypoint Analytical. Again, kind of the same thing. Go through here, kind of come down to the bottom where homeowners and landscapers goes. And then what I found interesting on Waypoint, I don't know if it's available throughout the country. You guys know, because I clicked on some of these, like a submittal form, and I just see like California, Carolinas, Florida, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, and even
Maybe
clicking
all.
on that. So these are the only areas I believe Waypoint Analytical will do.
Operates. Yeah. So if you live in those states, check them out.
You can you can send it to them. Like I've sent it to the Tennessee office. I've sent it to the Virginia office. You can send your samples there from different states.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
That's,
so it
if
doesn't
that's
have
what
to
you're
be within
saying.
the state. That's just where they're based, maybe.
That's just where their facility is located.
So that's where you're going to submit the form to. Okay. It makes a little more sense then. So same kind of thing there with Waypoint. So so those three, I think most of us have used or would recommend if you're not going to use your local university or whatever, go to Logan Labs, Spectrum Analytical or Analytic, and then Waypoint Analytical.com. So those are all there available for you guys.
Analytical.
Spectrum Anal.
So I was just saying, I was at Lowe's last weekend, and they actually had like a little pallet of kits that they're selling there as well. I don't know what brand it is or what it. I didn't open one up and look at it, but it was just kind of a plain white box. It literally just said like soil test kit. So, but
I saw somebody, I think, post one. I think it looked legit. It looked like a legit test. Like I can't remember. It wasn't like one of them little test kits.
Gotcha. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that they're selling those as well.
Like OSU Turfman said, there are the two different types of test. And I think one's like I can't say it. I want to say like something, but it ain't Magellan. But that's for what I'm thinking for some reason. It's not it. But no,
Malik 3?
Huh?
Malik 3?
What was that guy in that? What was his name in that movie where he got that fake ID? Wasn't it McLovin? There's two different kind of tests. The way they pull, I guess, the phosphorus test, the phosphorus or something, and maybe he'll answer that.
Super bad.
Oh, there's more than two. Jump on here and school us.
Hey, so I saw Brett Boshert ask a question, and I'm not quite sure what he's asking. He says, you say pH is important, and he agrees, but you also said you don't really pay attention to your NPK. What else are you really getting, and how are you attacking those? I'm wondering, is he asking maybe if you're looking at those micronutrients, how do you, I guess, correct those? What can you get that has micronutrients? I'm guessing that's what he's asking. Maybe.
I think that might be coming from my statement when I said like you don't track your P and K as closely as you do.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's where that like maybe came from, and I think from when I'm reading the comment, I think maybe misunderstood what I was saying. Definitely not saying that NPK is not important. They're called they're called your macros for a reason. They're your big drivers. Your micros are called micros for a reason. But what my point was any of us can probably go to our spreadsheets from last year and say, I put down 3.8 or 4.2 pounds of nitrogen last year, but I could not go to my spreadsheet and say how many pounds of potassium or phosphate I put down. Could you track that? Yes. Are there calculators out there that have all that? Yes. I personally don't record those amounts. I look at my graph and I see if my P and K are low or high, and I see if I need to add it throughout the year, and I base my fertilizers on that. And now when I send my report out this year, I'm going to compare last year's and this year's and see if I moved it in that direction into the kind of ideal category. So I think maybe you misunderstood what I was trying to say when I was talking about that.
Yeah, I look at So when you're looking to buy a fertilizer and you're looking to purchase whatever you want that has the nitrogen you intend to put down, then you're like, okay, then how much nitrogen or potassium phosphorus comes with that? And then you say, okay, this is what my soil test says I need as far as a ratio between those two. So when I'm looking to find my nitrogen source, whatever ratios I pick, I want to find the one that more closely matches what the soil test says I need. I don't really care necessarily how much of it, because that's where I'm saying I'm going to be putting this much down because I need that nitrogen, what's coming along with it, and then which one do I need more of, or which one less of. And that's what I did when I did the Pro Peat last year, was choosing a bag that kind of matched up with what I needed. And then another bag that didn't have any phosphorus, because I knew that I had enough of that and I didn't really need it. So use it as a general guide. But yeah, we don't track like how many pounds of nitrogen or potassium did I put down. That's not what we're worried about. Sure, you can. You might be hard pressed to really get that amount if that's what you're concerned about.
You can put it. I mean, honestly, Purdue. I mean, I'm a Go Hawks all the way. I'm not a big fan of Purdue at all, but they have a really good like online calculator that I use all the time. I got it bookmarked, and you literally just plug all your inputs in. It'll calculate how many. It gives you all the information you need. So I know some guys out there are kind of law nerds. And I love all that stuff, but I'm not very smart with math at all. So I use the tools. But yeah, I could put all my stuff in and I could keep track of it all, but I don't. So
and you would keep track of it the same way you keep track of your nitrogen. I mean, you would just use,
Yep. It tells you it all. I mean, like I said, and actually when I'm doing my nitrogen, trying to figure all that up, it actually will error if you don't put something in for P and K. So sometimes I just put 0 in there because I'm not worried about it. But yeah, theoretically, if you wanted to track it all, you could, and you could say, hey, I put down 6 pounds last year, and you could see how much it moved, and so that's what I was talking about earlier, where maybe you do a couple years of like, aggressive and see how much you can get to move. And then, okay, I got to move, let's just say, a little bit closer. Now I back off and maybe I use 2 pounds and I'm going to slowly get it there or something like that,
Yeah. I suppose too, if you had like a backpack sprayer, you're doing all liquids, you could buy each of them individually, almost separate, and then just put down however much it needed. Versus I'm coming from the perspective of granular, where you can't necessarily buy every single ratio under the sun. You just got to pick one that's kind of closely matches what you need and gives you that nitrogen you need.
You can have custom stuff blended.
That's true. Yeah.
The other thing I was talking to someone about, like they had, the Pro Peat was the example. They had like a 1704 and a, I think 7414, and they were kind of talking about going back and forth. I'm like, well, you could just mix them, you could mix 50-50 and then just run that like all year instead of going back and forth. That is an option. You could just, like Ole just said, you can mix them and create your own custom blend if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
That gets into a lot of math that I'm definitely not smart enough for. So
you just got to set the time and really, figure it out ahead of time. That way you're not buying the wrong stuff. Just
running. I know we're winding down kind of towards the end, but Ryan Demay is trying to send me a bunch of reports, and you guys mind if he just jumps on real quick for a minute to pull these reports up?
Sure. Yeah.
Do it. We'd be honored.
I can't get what he's trying to send me to pull up. It keeps saying page not found.
Bring him.
Yeah, he's gonna pop on real quick and maybe he can pull up some of that stuff that we were talking about.
Well, Andrew, we have a 1 guest limit, so we're gonna no.
I figured, hey, we had Andrew pop on out of nowhere.
No way, I got Andrew on the wheel for next week, maybe. So yeah, he's got 6 rounds. See if he wins.
There you go.
Why don't we do that while he's pulling up? What do you think?
Yeah. Let's
spin the wheel.
Do the guest drawing.
Yeah, man. Who's coming on next week? Yow.
So,
do that.
Oh yeah,
and then
I'm pumped for this.
We actually had 21 guys. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you said, it started out.
Likes we got.
So it started out with like 3 people. And then I know one time we're getting like 11, 12. That was pretty awesome too. But
one's a good number.
And we got 21 people on. So All right, guys. So here's the names for next week to come on and be a winner or be a guest winner.
That's awesome.
So we're going to shuffle 3 times for this one. 1, 2, 3. And go full screen.
Some people in there I don't recognize.
Yeah. All right.
Hello.
Jacob DeWitt.
Jacob DeWitt. I bet that's a troll. No, I'm just kidding.
So
What's his
Jacob,
Instagram handle?
we're gonna
Is he
whatever
in
your
the chat?
Instagram handle is, or message the KOTG page on Instagram, who you are. We can get you all set up for next week. So it'll be exciting.
Getting out of bed?
Me? No. I'm
Ew.
sitting here reading. I'm trying to read without my glasses on. Not good.
So Ryan, why don't you
Well,
introduce yourself real
Hey,
quick?
what's up, man?
Yeah, I seen you were getting blown up in the chat. So
Oh, no, that's cool. I just was sharing this little thing. You guys are talking about tracking. I'm just going to share this with you so you guys can go on and make copies and do whatever you want to do with it, because it's important. You got to track your stuff, man. You got to manage what you measure what you manage, both.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Copy
my wife
link.
tells me.
About the measuring or the managing? Yes, the answer is yes. All right.
Ryan, that Purdue calculator I was talking about, have you seen that on their website?
I have. Yeah. Super
Gotcha.
helpful. Super helpful. It works out great. Here, I'll just go ahead and share this.
Check it out, because it's always nice to find something that's super user friendly where it just kind of makes sense, and nice tool. So I'll have to check out that website or send it to the chat, Nate, and I'll check it out. That's cool.
Yeah, you just Google Purdue.
Purdue.
I think it's nitrogen calculator or something like that. Yeah, pretty straightforward. And then it gives you like 3 different options. Like, do you want to see like how much you used, how much you need to use, or something like that?
Uh-oh, here we go. Just begin. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Boom. All right. So let me change this to 2022, but you can take a link, and Zach, if you want to throw this up whenever, man, but this is a nice little calculator that something that I know real well built. They help them out trying to put it all together and everything like that. But this is basically you can enter your products here, kind of 1 through 10, all the ones that you want. And then you come over here and you've got drop downs here that you can just go ahead and select it. All the nutrient values are pre-populated in there after you go look at the label, right? And then you just simply put your app rate. It'll tell you your total amount applied based on your square footage that you enter right here. And it's going to track all that stuff for you. The other nice thing is you can put in your soil test values down here, right? And you can kind of go across, add those in, and then it will calculate, at least theoretically, what your new value is. So for example, we put down 3.1 pounds of P on this lawn that was down at a level of 5 parts per million. That's going to get us back up to like 34.5 parts per million in theory, right? So good dude put most of this together. I kind of just cleaned it up a little bit more for how I use it. So good dude named Christian kind of built the bones of this, and then I kind of took it and did a few things to it to make it to my leisure. But yeah, you should share this out. Hopefully it works out for you guys. That's all I wanted.
Yeah,
to
that looks really
share.
cool.
Don't
Yeah,
wanna-
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
You guys are doing great. I appreciate everything you guys do for the community. It's great to see you guys on here chatting about soil tests. So keep on keeping on. Oli,
Yes,
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that fescue, man. It's gonna be fine. Okay.
Hey, man, it's growing. You know,
It's looking-
y'all used a word that I really like, that chooching.
Chooch. That's not a
It's-
that's a Matt Martin word right there. That is my word. Chooching.
It looks terrible. It is
Yep.
wounded, but
Uh,
it's still chooching. So
it
if
looked
I get
pretty
a
good.
couple more cuts, maybe I'll get down to where she's pretty again.
Give yourself credit. Give yourself credit. So, well, I won't keep myself on here, but I appreciate it, guys. Again, Zach, I'll send you this link. You can share it out. But great little tool for people to keep track. Put your 10 favorites in here, and then follow along. So all you got to do is go in here, click file, make a copy, and then you can make your own there in Google Drive, and it's all yours to keep free
That's
of charge.
awesome, man.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's
Right on,
awesome.
brother.
Appreciate it,
you.
guys. We'll see you all
All
soon.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Hey,
See you.
Thank you.
Before you jump
Take
off,
care, man.
tell us those test names since I screwed it, called it Magellan. What is it?
Oh, you're talking about the Malik. There's the Malik 1, Malik 2, Malik 3. The Malik 1's still used in some parts of the country, particularly on the East Coast. Malik 3 is probably the most common test that you'll have. If you have high pH, you're going to use ammonium acetate. And then depending on your P levels, you're going to either use the Bray or the Olson. So lots of different things. That's why it's important to make sure you notate where your sample's coming from, and always make sure that you use correct sampling depth or noted on your form, whether it's 6 inches or 4 inches. No jokes. All right. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Cool. That was a nice
All right.
one.
That was pretty awesome.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ryan.
That'd be cool to check out that graph, mess around with it.
Yeah.
Throw that up on the website or something.
Yeah.
I'll put it in
Somehow.
the description. In the description.
There you go.
below.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we'll also put it on
You
our
know what I
website.
liked about that graph right there? I seen some pro Pete on there.
Yeah. So some I think Steel Cut Lawn asked put in the description. So Zach says he'll do that, or we'll do that. Somebody will do that, and then we got another tab working up on our website, so we'll add that onto our website here in the near future too. You guys can go on to kotg.live and check that out. So again, also, if you guys had forgotten, we do have a website still up and running. We paid the bill, so it's up for another year. So come check it out at kotg.live. Come look at these past live casts, and if you guys forgot who's on KOTG, we're on there with our information, our lawnmower size, and our yard size, and all that kind of stuff. So we also have the merch. So we haven't put really any new designs together lately. Maybe we'll get back into that as well. Once we start getting inspired by the grass and the lawn and the greenness and stuff, that kind of makes us want to create new merch for you guys. So keep an eye out for that. That's at merch.kotg.live. All right, what do you guys say? Wrap it up, give away this last probe. Andrew was so kind to jump on and
do it.
and give away to these people so they can go take their own samples. All right.
Dude, that song, that last wheel spin was fire.
So I'm trying out a few different ones.
These are license free.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
They all come on this. So I was looking for some nice headbanging stuff for Zach, but there's nothing really that's hard or anything like that. So I think that banjo was about as hard as it got. All right. So I'm going to shuffle. We'll do 3 times again on this one. We'll go full screen. So, all right. So here is the last Landsy probe. Here we go.
No way.
Look at
Oh.
that. He wins again.
Man.
This
So
is
you
even
guys
a different
crazy.
wheel.
Usually you win after you come on the show, but now he's just getting it out. He's getting it out of the way before.
There was like a curse.
Wow.
Well, not a curse, but
So,
That's awesome.
congrats,
Right
Jacob.
on, man.
Yeah.
You should go buy some scratchers or a lotto ticket or something this week.
Yeah, for sure. So
So
he already messaged me on Instagram. So go ahead and just send me your name. We'll get over to Landsy, name, address, all that kind of stuff. They'll send you out one of those cool probes and take your soil test with it.
I wonder. So I wonder if he's gonna have the Ope curse. He won one of his first times in here, and then he's gonna. Next thing you know, he's going to be yelling at his phone on reels, talking about his lawn, and then
And then he's going to have to start a new account.
Yeah, having to start a new account.
Keep the lawn account going.
Because I remember, I think Ope, that was like his first time entering. That's the first time I've seen that Jacob DeWitt's name. So that's why.
Yeah. That's
but I know,
awesome. Yeah,
like,
we have 55 still watching. We're 80 some odd minutes in. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was great. This was a fun episode, you guys. I think this was a good discussion. I appreciate Andrew. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yes.
Thanks for having me again, guys. I got to bounce. I got to be up in a couple hours.
All right.
Jacob DeWitt actually commented. He said he normally listens afterwards, but this is his first time listening live.
Hey man,
So,
there you go.
crazy
for him, man. Yeah,
Mad
man.
love to the
All right, cool,
podcast, guys. But come on, dude, watch it live. You never know what's going to happen.
hell yeah.
Join us
That's
in the
when
live
always
chat, man.
2 times in one night.
That's right. You're
All
always
right, thanks,
welcome.
guys. I'm out.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
Andrew. Thank
Thanks
you.
for the
Appreciate
probes,
it.
Andrew.
Thanks again, guys. I'll talk to you.
Drink that
You
Bush Light.
Yeah, I don't need to throw up. What are my long?
See?
Well,
Sure.
a lot of people are saying it, guys, but I really enjoyed this show. It's kind of like it's good to be back. You know what I mean? Like it's been
I agree.
awesome finding out all these new companies and stuff over the winter time, but now it's just
Yes.
feeling more real that we're gonna be getting our lawns back here in shape. So this is exciting.
I agree.
Yep,
That was a fun
for
show.
sure. For sure.
So next
Hashtag
week,
KOTG loan of the week. We're
next-
bringing it back.
Yeah, make sure you guys submit your KOTG lawn of the week, even if you did it this week and we didn't get you to do it for next week as well. And then we got next week's maybe do we want to talk about it? Do we want to
No.
release it? Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna keep that in the wraps for a minute. We'll let you guys know here in the next few days what next week's topic is going to be about. But it's just us. Come back on. We're going to be chitting, chatting just like we did tonight. And it was fun.
And you know what that means? We got to send it out
Kirby
the way we
strikes
used
win.
to. Go Hawks. That's how we have to send it out.
Every
Kirby
time.
strike.